All right, first and foremost, I'd like to give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, and salutation to you, brothers, pushing this word in truth and sincerity. All right, just coming back with another video, hopefully anticipating the coming of our Lord, Yahweh Shai. All right, so there's things that we're seeing, um, the mass layoffs, the uncertainty, the buildups of a military. All right, we're in that season. All right, we prophesied that. Um, I was on YouTube earlier, and there was a video I was watching in regards to the mass layoffs. Right, you have multiple people, millions of Americans being laid off. All right, and it's akin, or I remember the time where you have, and I got laid off back in 2008. It was a time where companies were downsizing, and this is during the transition of President Bush into the President Obama years. All right, and they had thousands of people were getting pink slips. They were having boxes. They would show pictures of people with boxes. And they were, leaving their job for the very last time, and it's happening again. You have the lady was mentioning in one of the videos that I was watching. She said, 1 in 6, people in her, at least one person in each department in her store of Target, getting laid off. Then you have hiring freezes, Walmart, Amazon, people losing jobs, Starbucks. You have IBM, the tech sector. Now, you remember back during the time when people were working home, there was an influx of workers being hired, during the time of, the, uh, the Kobe with the jump shot, that era, that time. All right. And we're seeing, the firing of those people, the government workers, they're on strike, and, you're seeing, the results of that. Okay. I was only going to my history. I was looking at a video, um, but truly we're in that time. Let me go to the book of Ecclesiastes 12, the 12th chapter. All right, it says, remember now thy creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not, nor the years draw nigh, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them. All right, and you see, especially the elderly, or, the aged of our people. All right, they've been through multiple, generations. I'm talking about the people that were born in the 60s. They came up they was born in the 50s. They might have became an adolescence in the late 60s, 70s. Came into being of age, and now they're in the years. All right, as we end, okay, Babylon the Great. All right, they're in the time where they have no pleasure in them. Now they're talking about, you know, possibly pushing back the retirement age from 65 to 75, to 70. These are the talks, because of the Social Security issues. There's a Social Security crisis. Right there's fear that the money will run out. Okay, but this is a generation of people that hey, they don't have any pleasure because look, they're seeing what happened. They're seeing that they're coming to the realization, or they will come to the realization that they've been bamboozled, they've been hoodwinked. Our people, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, we talk about, especially in particular the brothers, down in this area. The Elder Pashai talks about Capernaum, and this is an area, in the let's say PG, which is Prince George's County, Montgomery County. This is Jake that has degrees and works in the government, or have been working in the government for years, and now they're feeling the effects. all right, and the ones that are older that have retired, you know, there's no certainty of if they're going to have their Social Security with the government being shut down. So there's a lot of uncertainty. Okay. It says, while the sun or the light or the moon or the stars be not darkened, nor the clouds return after the rain, in the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble. Now, your keepers of the house, your modern day, economic forecasters, the people that, look after the goings of the economy, and they're trembling right now. All right, they have a lot of uncertainty. They don't know where this economy is going to go. They're afraid of hitting black swan events that take place, like the banks, run on the bank, possible runs on the banks. You have situations with, repos. So a lot of people that have taken out bank loans on cars, which now loans on cars are what mortgages on houses used to be. People having $800, $1,000, $1,500 car payments just to ride on the road. Not to mention the insurance costs, the cost of gas and other expenditures that come with cars. So a lot of people that are working are relying upon these jobs to take on these exorbitant cost of living, uh, 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 you know, uh, added cost of living, like cars and the insurance and the money that goes around cars, or housing, transportation, childcare. These things, are affecting people to the point where the keepers of the house are trembling. They're economic forecasters. People are not knowing what to put their money in, all right, to have it grow. Okay, and it says, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few, meaning the jobs. All right, the grinding. Grinding represents work, production. All right, and production is slowing down because it's being outsourced to AI or artificial intelligence, machines that have the capacity to do what a human has without rest, without break. So we're in a time of great uncertainty. How are people going to continue, to put food on their table, to have purpose in their lives if their lives have become a job? And on a video, they was talking about how somebody just abruptly losing their job or losing an employee, as the result of layoffs, can be like them losing, a loved one, losing their family, losing. All of a sudden you had a prestigious job where people looked to you for guidance. You built friendships and rapport with people over years of working, and all of a sudden you're just stripped from your job. All right, all your accumulated possessions and things that you brought to that job is consumed or put in a box. All right, and the next day you don't have clearance to go onto that property anymore. What is this thing? What is this doing to these people out here, man? All right, but this is part of the many great miseries that shall come upon these people. All right, because they've lived their life in great pride. Okay, they didn't consider that there would be a time where there will be limited resources. They didn't consider that, all parties come to an end. And this empire is coming to an end. Scriptures in verse 4 says, and the doors shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding is low, and he shall rise up at the voice of the bird. All right, and that's what's coming. People are going to have to rise up early, before the sun comes up, all right, to scour around and find themselves some type of opportunity, whether it be food, whether it be some type of job or some type of resources to get them to the next day. All right, that's the time that we're coming into. All right, it says, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low. So all the mirth, the Most High, is taken out of this place. All right, it's going to come a time where, every weekend they have an event or some type of concert or some type of event, that people gravitate towards because it's the weekend, take their mind away from their daily stress. And those things are not going to have the effect that they once had upon the people. Okay? It says, and the doors shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding is low. Yeah, because people are not going to be able to afford to do the things that they once were able to do. Go to the harbor, go to the aquarium, take their children to, an event, to take the stress off from the daily grind. Those things are not coming. All right, those things are going to be taken away. All right. Now, Esau, Edom, the elites, they're going to go to another phase of terror upon the people to get them to buy into this new system, the tokenization of their monetary system into an electronic digital system. All right, there has to be more in Esau's agenda-based, gradual agenda-based system that he's bringing forth. There has to be more terror. It's not enough terror right now. So we're going to come into a time of great terror. All right. This is the book of Isaiah 24:8. It says, the mirth of Tabaret ceaseth, the noise of them that rejoice endeth, the joy of the harp ceaseth. So the Most High is going to take the mirth out of the land. Okay. The music, watch this Christmas coming up. Okay, it's the most wonderful time of the year. Well, let's see how wonderful it's going to be this year. All right, especially them stamps. All right, them EBT food benefits. All right, let's see how it is then. Okay, it says, verse 9. It says, "They shall not drink wine with the song; strong drink shall be bitter to them that drink it. The city of confusion is broken down. Every house is shut up, that no man may come in." Because you're gonna have a time of, going back to we had Kobe with the jump shot, like you say, cool word for 2020. What happened in 2020? All right, when people were told to stay in the house. Okay, there's gonna be more martial law. All right, more curfews, more shutdowns, more supply chain disruptions, especially as these wars come into fruition. Okay, it says, there is a crying for wine in the streets. All joy is dark, and there's going to come a time where people are going to want answers. Okay, people are going to want answers. The answers are not going to be in the midst of the people. All right, because of the terrors that are upon the earth, and what these people are being sold. All right, fear to comply to get the MOTB. All right. It says, there is a crying of wine in the streets, all the joy is darkened, the mirth of the land is gone. And we're going to see that. All right, we're going to see a time where this place was like a happy land. All right, you're not going to see that so much. Niggas dancing in the streets. People going to have that look upon their face. It says, in the city is left desolation, and the gate is smitten with destruction. It says, when thus it shall be in the midst of the land among the people, there shall be as the shaking of an olive tree, and as the gleaning grapes when the vengeance is done. It says, they shall lift up their voice, they shall sing for the majesty of the Lord, they shall cry aloud from the sea. Wherefore glorify ye the Lord in the fires, even the name of the Lord, power of Israel, in the isles. Because the Lord is going to bring forth this destruction. All right, he's going to bring forth a great destruction. All right. It says, cry aloud from the sea. Okay. Hey, the men of the Lord. Scriptures mention of the sea of glass mingled with fire. All right. Where the men that have gotten a victory are going to sit above it, looking down, okay, at the firmament, at the destruction. All right. There was a brother, he showed me recently this picture of how lavish, those chariots are going to be. All right, that the men that have gotten the victory are going to be partakers of what the Lord Yahweh Shimon Shah is going to show those men with their own eyes. All right, the reward of seeing the fall of their enemy. All right. So right now we're seeing the mirth being taken out of the land and the jobs being cut. Okay. Pretty soon you're gonna see the effects of what is taking place. Because you're having so many people losing their jobs, yet these people have to eat, they have to maintain housing, and you have a lot of people that have already fallen by the wayside, living in cars, living in tent cities, living on the streets. Okay, and it's gonna come to its height, its peak, and this place is gonna be like the breaking of a dam, a breach, and it's gonna pour out profusely suddenly, and just like as a dam breaking and that water rushing to a city, a lot of people are gonna get swept, all right, in that river, that devastating current, all right, and that's the time that we in, okay. But I'm gonna end the video. Call Halal Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai Ba'ashim Rakak Wadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Salutation to you brothers pushing this word in truth and sincerity. Until the next video, shalom.